I'll talk first. Hey, everybody. It's Seth and Hashi.
Hey,
Welcome
everybody.
back to VFX and Chill, the show where we do things with VFX and do things with chill. Speaking of chill, Hashi, what do you want to do this week? How are you, actually? Let's ask that first.
I'm well, Seth. We are an exciting stage in life because I am moving very soon.
Oh, we can say that publicly. All right.
Right now we have, I am moving to this address. I'll post it right here in the. We're doing a big move. So we have in-laws in town, people running around doing all that fun stuff, and 400 billion pieces of paperwork that are flying back and forth right now. But so I'm very focused, very present, as always. But how are you doing?
Well,
Seth?
I'm moving and I'm trying to finish a short that I started 3 years ago with a team of people that I'm responsible for all at the same time. Sorry, that's you. That's you right now, having to do all of those things.
Man.
Sorry.
Yes.
I switched over to
you?
AirPods. Sorry. Can you talk real quick so I know I can hear you?
Hey, what's up? I should have just pretended to be silent.
That's more like you. You're early off your game, man.
And also, just to check in, is our guy in the sky, Michael, there? How are you doing?
Maybe I'll show him this week.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be seen this week. I dressed up last week in an amazing costume and no one saw it.
Oh. But now I see you're sporting the very awesome Action VFX shirt. I love that logo, by the way. It's so simple and so.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It always reminds me of the Cowabunga.
It's great because if your stunt team is wearing it and they get exploded and they land upside down, the logo reads.
Oh, it's true. If you're blown into many pieces, no matter how your torso ends up. Yeah.
Is that called an ambigram? Is that when it's visually can be an inversion?
That's a great question for Michael in the show.
Wait, no, inversions. Yeah, look up the book Inversions by Kim Scott. He does. There we go. Anyway, fun tangent.
Question asked, Ben answered.
Yes.
Hey, what are we doing this week? The chat is really hoping that we do another 2-hour-long interview and don't show any After Effects. Just kidding.
Were they upset that we didn't show any After Effects last week? Instead, we just showed them Quake being played on an oscilloscope. Was that not enough for you? I want to do an entire episode about that freaking Quake on an oscilloscope that this perception guy showed us. That was unreal.
I know, they just showed us a screen, they showed us a screen they found a way to take a 3D live 3D render thing shot into an oscilloscope, translating the 3D into waveforms, like audio that could be translated into and they just blew past that.
The video they showed us, the rep that they showed us blew past that. It was like it was like translated to sound waves. Like, hold on, hang on. Why is that one frame?
Yes, go back a few seconds.
Oh man, it was the coolest thing ever. We're actually definitely going to try a whole episode where we just attempt to do that. This week though, Hashi, we joked that it would be fun to. It would be funny to just do our work on this show, use this show as a time to get our actual work done. And now we're kind of doing that.
And try to totally pass it off as a show. Yeah. So as some of you know, if you're a weekly viewer, Red Giant was really awesome and helped me film this Venom short. That was bandied about between Aaron Rabinowitz and me and Seth until we came up with this idea. Hey, it would be really fun to film something with David Hewlett from Stargate SG-1 and a wonderful actor from a handful of great sci-fi and
such as Hologram.
Cause of the pandemic in yes, Hologram, of course, or the other
great sci-fi epic.
Is another amazing role. So yeah, we all wanted to do something together, and we stumbled upon, hey, there's a Venom movie coming out, and we should film a little parody of that. And we thought, well, it would be really funny if instead of a serious action movie body invasion thing, it was more like hey, roommates having to deal with this situation. And that was just that premise turned into a script, and they flew out. We filmed it with a whole crew and everything. And that was almost to the week, 3 years ago. We filmed it, we got a rough edit together, and then had no post-production pipeline in place or paid for or organized, and a bunch of other stuff to do at the time. So that instead of getting the short out before Venom came out, it was going to come out sometime after. Or maybe we'll time it with the Blu-ray release. And then that passed, and then we thought, shoot, we've missed the boat on this. And then we heard that Venom 2 was coming out, and so we thought, oh, that's easy. That'll be in the future in about a year. We could probably work on the short in the meantime. And yet again, my persistence.
You didn't skip a few steps also, which were like at that point, oh, another one's coming out. Well, we'll get it done by then. And then the pandemic delayed the film. And then we're like, well, we'll get it done by then. And then the pandemic delayed the film again. We were given many chances to finish this film.
So many chances.
We could have had it done on time so many times. And
so
yet,
many times.
Here we are, Hashi.
So what we decided we would do is just dive into it very honestly, that we have a short that is very overdue. And not even timely.
And actually,
anymore.
the sequel is already done. Like, the sequel has pretty much made the short.
And the sequel has absolutely made the short. So our joke was to present the casual interactions of Venom as a terrible roommate. And if any of you saw the teaser for Venom 2, it opens with a montage remarkably similar in tone and jokes to what we wanted to do. So a lot of our jokes are going to be in releasing this 3 years late will not seem so cool, and will not be as funny to have hey, look, what a novel take on Venom, and look, they ended up doing it in the real movie too.
Here's the thing, it's actually I think it's going to be pretty funny, and there's some really, really cool effects happening in this. Can you talk about some of the stuff that I'll give a little context. Since shooting this, we merged with Maxon. I just realized we shot this before we were Maxon.
Yes.
And
we shot this before we had the ability to work with actual 3D software.
And we now have Hashi has the help and assistance of the entire Maxon training team, which is full of super geniuses who are incredibly talented and skilled and some of the sweetest people in the world. And so you've been seeing some really cool tests coming in just this past week, right?
Imagine, you have a short that you've embarrassingly not worked on for a very long time. And it's this amazing effort of a bunch of people who worked really hard to get that short filmed and into footage form. And now suddenly we realized, hey, we are, after things had moved around and we had merged, and suddenly we have access to all of these experts in a software that I was not especially good at and still continue to be, I'll say I'm learning.
It's more than me. I'm not even learning it at this point.
So suddenly we have the entire Maxon training team, in a way like a volunteer army, is trying to grab pieces of this short when they can, in between all of the other amazing training that they are doing, both on their channel and one-on-one in-person training that they are doing, are making amazing things for us. And what's fun is that we're getting to explore a bunch of Venom-related effects, including tendrils and tentacles and Venom transformations.
The 3 Ts.
And the one that I am the one that I am the most jazzed about was, I didn't know that Venom would appear as a head on a snake Venom in the movie, and we thought it was a really cool effect, and didn't know about it when we were filming. And then I thought, oh man, that would be really cool because Venom has a lot of dialogue in this, but we assumed from the trailers that were out at the time when we wrote the short that it was internal monologue. So it was just like you could hear Venom talking in his head and he would talk back to it. But now, if any of you are familiar with Noseman, Athanasios Pozensis, we decided to...
You did.
I did not know that he would dedicate the last like 400 hours of his life. Maybe, I don't know. It's very confusing because it's either it was either so much work or he's that brilliant.
Both are,
and both work for me.
And I believe it's playing with audio here. Is there audio? I'll turn it up.
Space.
Let me start it back over. Sorry about that.
Be cool, man. I really need a place to crash right now when you've got so much space.
They took Andy Serkis's face and literally translated it right to the thing, or it's digital makeup. There was no intervention. It's 100% that performance. That's almost never the case. There's always some artistic intervention. And what Noseman took on with this project was figuring out how to make my human poses work out with... I provided him with this Venom 3D model, and he... because of the way the geometry loops were arranged, he decided to entirely rebuild the head so the loops were optimized for this new Venom model. So the amount of work that happened within, honestly, like 2 days, he just said, "Can you record yourself doing this and send it to me?" And I did. And I don't know how, but he came back with this Venom head that he had built custom for this, and figured out how to translate my expressions into venomous expressions. And look at the drool. That's so cool.
God, so cool.
And let me open up my.
The drool is the best.
It always is.
From the real Venom trailer, it's my favorite part.
Yeah, we talked about it a few weeks ago. That like that slime that like they add to those comps is what sells those comps, 100%.
So let me see if I can get Redshift to pop open here. I'm new to Redshift. Did I press the right thing for streaming it?
The chat is asking if the X rotation is inverted on the Venom head, and it appears to be the case. Yes,
it is. When I recorded these, I assumed that the software for my benefit was reflecting it like a selfie cam was, and so I looked the same direction that the head is supposed to be looking in the short. But then when the data came in, I realized that it was a switched. So we have Athanasios in the chat giving some good information on how this all works.
Oh yeah, hit him with all your questions. He'll give you very thorough.
Oh,
answers.
there's the live preview. I just hadn't moved my camera, so it wasn't refreshing. But it's fun, excitement. So yeah, so it looks like he says that the face is mainly a displacement in Redshift, and he also used the Redshift tag tessellation instead of a subdivision surface object. But
that means the extra subdivision to give the extra details to the displacement happens at render time instead of in the viewport while you're working.
Which is wonderful because you can all see that this is generally low poly going into here. Let me see if I can. I have not explored the where everything is very well. So let me see if I can show it. Maybe I'll just do. Here we go. So yeah, a very simple model going into this, which I'm sure really benefits playback, but the output is wonderful. And when we were first talking about perhaps getting Venom's head into the short, I'm going to, let me see if I can pull up our edit of something that I did, which is very, very goofy. Where did I save that edit? This is so exciting. But honestly, not thinking we were going to have Venom's face in this short at all, except for maybe for one shot, suddenly he will get to be this presence throughout.
So
and
cool.
I am just, it's so great. And it's so wonderful that the movie had a device for this, of having, his head on this viney stalk, to kind of talk to him, so we could have these back and forth.
Someday we should get people.
moments.
Someday we should show people how you were originally going to attempt the Venom head shot.
Oh my goodness! So, yeah, it was quite an interesting.
You don't have to
what?
talk
I wonder
about
if
it.
I could.
If you want to show it, I've got it, and I can share it. I just didn't know if you wanted to share it.
Oh, do you have it?
You
Yes,
texted it
I
to
would
me.
love to share this.
Can I show them
Yes,
the thing you texted
share
me?
that video.
Okay. Let me.
All right, I think there's audio with it, so, of me describing. So this is how we blocked it.
It's so stupid. Hang on. Info. One of the other things you sent me recently, it keeps popping up whenever I go to find this video. Oh man.
I think I know what thing
you
you're
do know
talking
exactly
about.
what thing I'm talking about.
Hashi, while Seth finds that piece, the chat has requested that we do a Halloween episode or two this month. I'm thinking we could do some cool stuff with bats flocking with particulars, some other like kind of spooky stuff, just to be like, here's how to make a little spooky video. It would be a kind of a neat episode if we have, time
Gotta
during
make
the
a
rest of this
spooky little
month.
video.
Ooh, I love it. Let's get spooky. Starting
spooky for
today
me,
with
yeah, I
creepy
can't do it.
Venom faces.
All right. Stand by. Got a clip
Right, you
coming
got that?
soon. Coming soon. Let's put it into the clip 4 module. And it's going to be here.
Your sentences are constructed as if there's a 3, 2, 1
Oh, yeah, sorry.
countdown.
I know.
I mean, I keep
I'm
on
not.
pausing for dramatic effect.
It's my fault entirely. All right. Clip 4. And so this is a clip that Hashi texted me last week, maybe. It was days before we the NASA
Yes.
sent these like tests with the actual thing doing the way, which is a little bummer because I was very excited to see how this turned out. But here is, without further ado, here's Hashi's original approach.
I'm filming myself from my Canon and then piping that through split cam to snap cam, which is allowing me to use this Venom face thingy, which I'm going to record over here in OBS. But the problem is it keeps on putting this Venom logo right where your head is. Basically, it kind of moves with the face, except this filter, if there's a second person on screen, a la my stand-in
So
guy
dumb.
right here, he becomes
He's just sitting there.
Carnage, and I can move all the way over here to the side where my face is clean of, it switched automatically. Seth, move over here.
I love that I'm
off
helping you
screen
by
so I
being
can do Venom
useless.
again,
By
and then
just
Seth comes on and is Carnage, and it tries to put the logo between us.
We
so I
need
can
a
record
lighting
my face
stand-in,
over
man.
here. Okay, so weird ass Seth.
Yes. So
oh my gosh.
this remarkably silly process is what we used to do. Seth, if you want to switch
Yeah.
back to my screen, I can kind of share a bit of the general idea that at some point the Venom takes over. This is a little bit of David Hewlett getting taken over by.
I know.
We're
I'm
small
working on it. I'm
on
working on
screen. All good, but we just wanted this little over the shoulder idea of Venom talking and doing things, and so this is the Snapchat version of how these gags work.
And to think
how
there's
smooth
just a
that was.
Carnage like Whirly sitting over in the corner, just standing there.
Just sit it right over here, just garbage matted out the entire time. So yeah, so very exciting. We kind of have the idea that now this viney head will be talking to him. So really excited about that.
And you can see that basically to try to edit this short, I did these, created these little vines in DAW, very similar to what Seth had done in one of our Carnage
Call them what they are. They're meat
episodes.
tubes.
But I literally just rendered out stills of them and just dropped them into here in Premiere, so you could kind of tell when there was supposed to be vines doing things. Where is that?
I think this is done. Just ship
Like
it.
here's a very
That's my favorite.
Look at that.
That's my actually.
So-
I don't want you to change a thing about that shot because it's so funny the way you animated. And then keep the dude, please. Just tossing.
keep this guy.
It would be funny if Venom
Never
like
knows. So this
hired some dude off the street to like as an assistant, and so like you had that character in like randomly living in the house, just throwing things for them and like doing small props.
I love that idea. So we filmed this short clearly with no idea how any of the effects were going to be done, just assuming that we would be able to smart our way through it. And thank God we were given this gift of the training team, because Seth, can you pull up the if everyone wants to take a close look at the amazing Snapchat quality here compared to
compared to
Pedassus's renders.
The renders, like,
and these are I mean like sample,
look at that.
like the render quality can go stunningly better than this, and this hasn't been composited or anything. This is just like the redshift. Like,
Look at that
play
noise in
blast.
its skin. I love that.
So really exciting, and it also means that both the training team and we will be able to try to pass on this kind of info on how to do said things, especially because, we are enhancing moves by Maxon in the next little while, and I'm very excited to try to figure out how, like, even if there's a potential Halloween-y way to demonstrate how to do creature work, we're very
getting
excited
Halloween-y
about
right
it. And this
now.
is a
I'm
great
just-
way to get our feet
I'm
wet.
just going to have this Venom stand over your shoulder and talk to you and talk to us.
Perfect. Amazing. So now that you've seen the incredible work that has gone into the most technically complicated part of this short, Seth and I thought that we could run through some of the technically uncomplicated, our knowledge base level shots. And Seth, I have shared a handful of shots with you. You've never seen these
Never
before.
seen him in my life.
We're doing an improv episode, folks.
So we we filmed the exterior of the apartment, and in the script there is the joke of this entire thing, which I think, Seth, this was your idea, that what if the reason he ends up with Venom is because he lives next door or across the street from the giant science lab that is supposed to, that clearly would contain experiment.
Maybe that was my idea. If that was my
symbiote.
idea, sure. But well, I'm just giving away jokes. The reveal was your idea, and the reveal is the funniest part of the whole thing. I'm going to ruin this whole short by just talking about how funny the best jokes are.
We'll ruin this short over the next several weeks. So when everybody sees it, they can go, neat. Like, is this the,
Hey man,
is the level of...
that's where I live nowadays. It's totally good. But you've got a bunch of stuff you need me to paint out, right? I asked you for some boring work today. I figured I want some Bob Ross.
Yes.
I want this to be a Bob Ross episode, at least on my side of things.
Wonderful.
So I want to paint stuff out and roto stuff, and I assume you want to keep these hands that are brushing his hair.
I want the hands in there, but I want to lose his eyebrows throughout the entire short if we can. So
it's like the movie already did it, but did they erase his eyebrows? No, they did not. God, can
exactly. We got to one up
How
them
often
somehow.
do you go to double click like a comp or an element in After Effects, and you double click the space the space between the things, and then bring up the import window? Does that happen to you often?
I like the double click for importing specifically.
I don't.
And I find more often that I go start double clicking in random apps that don't have that.
Really?
And not knowing why things don't import. So
I'm constantly like, time to open this comp. No, stop importing.
Amazing. But I also liked your space between vocalization there.
This is how I pronounce it. So
amazing.
Hashi, do you know when you're planning to have this short finished? Or is it just as soon as we get it done?
Oh, sorry.
Tomorrow. No, we would love to have this out sometime around Halloween because it's Halloweeny. We've missed all the other target dates of having filmed this months before the original Venom came out. We missed that date. We missed the streaming release date, the Blu-ray release date, the Venom 2 teaser date, the Venom 2 initial
Don't be
release
so hard on
date.
yourself.
So Halloween would be
2024.
Cool
now here's my question. Hash, tell me what you need. I can tell when they're like the obvious stuff that needs painted out, like the hands and stuff, but these shots, the 3, right? Is there anything else?
The 3, remarkably, in the script, there is a wrong address situation, and so he has delivered a case containing the Venom. But I was too lazy on the location to alter the script to match the number on this house. And so we literally have her saying, "This is this address, right?" While you can see the address in shot, and it's not.
Do you need a new
address.
number instead, or do you just want it gone?
Technically, we could replace it with a 2 because we know that the number ends in 2 that she says, or we could just clone stamp it out, and I don't think anyone would care.
What if I do like 3 minus 1 equals 2, like a math problem on the? Will that work, or no? It's dumb.
I don't know if everyone loves math the way that we do. So
how funny would that be on a mailbox? Is to put a math problem on your mailbox as your address, like a complicated one. Has anyone done that? Because if so, I want to be their friend immediately.
I like that. I mean, I feel like this has to exist in France, where because of how upsetting the 70 through 100 are.
I'm beginning to see
French.
how come the shorts didn't happen on time because we still haven't started working yet.
Michael, what? I can mute you at any time,
this is working
sir.
For me.
Let me remind you. Oh, there you are.
All right. So let's see. There are a couple questions in the chat. Let me see if I can.
I'm just going to get to work.
Address some. So Chris here is asking if the dim lighting makes the VFX easier. Of course, lack of light and really clear.
All right, we call it dim lighting. Let's actually see what these are in logs. So let's see what it actually looks like. Are we talking about this shot? Let's do a quick colorista. Let me make our dreams come true. And let's choose a LUT. Do you know what you shot this on?
Amazing. No.
Hashi, you don't even know what camera you shot it on?
I don't know cameras or colors.
I know,
I can't.
Like, are we talking a Black Magic? We talking
things.
Canon?
No, it was an
Alexa Mini.
Alexa
All right, let's
Mini,
go with
I think,
Alexa
or something like
Log. That's a little too strong.
Of course. My Alexa hears me talking about that, and I'm just letting her know that.
Tell her to shut up.
I'm sorry. Jeez. So in the meantime, I'm going to pull up a shot over here, Seth, that I have done some prep work on for you. So there's a scene where the vial containing the Venom infects Dave, and he did this amazing performance of Venom taking over his body, some smoke swirling around or something like that.
We just need to quickly sing the praises of Hewitt. He's like the most wonderful human being and incredibly funny and gracious. And he is, check him out. And he's in the new season of C, I think, coming out. I don't know. He's in something, a lot of things coming up.
Amazing. He'll pop up and, there's like, Guillermo del Toro movies here and there as great character roles, or he'll be the asshole pilot in I'm sorry children, in Planet of the Apes, the one responsible for the.
Whoa!
pandemic
I
in
didn't realize
uh,
that he was in the Franco Planet of
movie.
the Apes.
Yes, and
No,
he is the.
I haven't
he's
rewatched
the,
that one in a long time. I had no idea.
I didn't know when I had seen it that was him, and so it's fantastic. So, yep, responsible. So like his last thing you see before they cut to the that amazing montage of the virus spreading, which I think also made him trend a little bit right at the beginning of May of 2020. For unrelated reasons, probably. But so anyway, all that to say, here I have this plate, and for you, Seth, I have provided the roto of body here, and I also did his front arm separately, so you have an additional, arm flopping around if you need it. And the actual reason that I rotoed David and his hand here is because if you're a composite,
I'm getting a spinning wheel on both my
Okay,
previous.
hold on.
screens.
I am now too.
Let me clear up my memory.
Bop, 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 bop. I think we're back. Hey everyone! If we're back here, I am previewing this little this exciting fake depth mat, and the way I created this was a combination of things. And so the first step was just straight up rotoing David from this shot, full body, and that arm, as you saw. And honestly, with Rotobrush 2, it was not terribly complicated for this 6-second shot. So there's a lot of frames, but 6 times 24, impossible to do math, but a lot of frames. So that was done, and then I thought, oh, I forgot about that depth mat machine learning technique that we've been trying on some other episodes. And so I did actually try running it through a machine learning based thing. Let's see, that is the Runway ML. And let me preview what it came back with. It came back with this, which is pretty impressive, to be fair.
It's a nightmare.
The only problem is it is a nightmare. It's very temporally
that looks
unstable.
like God. That looks
So,
like if you watch devs.
as you can see,
Oh man, they have this amazing.
No,
I can't
not
give
yet.
away anything. They have this amazing visualizer thing that I will not describe in case you guys haven't seen it, but it's really good and it looks like this. The way that it's been rendered. That was useless information I just shared. That was premium Whirly content for you guys. Just garbage observations. Keep going, Hash, with your actual information.
Premium Whirly. So because it was so flickery, it would mean that if you were trying to use it as a proper depth mat, that you would get, bits of smoke appearing and then disappearing or something like that. And so I actually just took the still of this first frame here and then tracked it in place, basically, to kind of match the footage, because it's a pretty nodal kind of rotation. Like there's not much parallax at all. So the background I was able to just paste on there. And then for the character, I ended up, let me see if I can go back.
Hey, real quick, what do you need done on
versions.
1020 with Cammy? No,
Is the number 3 available in there?
It's a shot toward her, yeah.
Or visible in there? Oh, of that one?
Oh, okay.
I just copied the
All right,
wrong
great.
plate over there. You don't
You want
need
to paint on her eyebrows too?
Amazing. Yes, please. Eyebrowless short for me. I feel like
Too
they're a
much
cheat.
emotion, yeah.
They give away too much emotion.
They're a crutch, yeah.
And which has no place in filming. So check this out. For these, I took the roto shapes, and this isn't a phenomenal solve, but it does kind of look right. I added a 4-color gradient to these, and what I love about point gradient is that basically you see it's this really nice soft grad that you can move 4 different points on throughout. And I just added a few keyframes to kind of keep it so the head felt like kind of the highest point. And realistically, it should have been all of this, I realize now, but this kind of works. And then I did the same thing on this arm layer, another 4-color gradient with just a few keyframes, just kind of trying to keep his arm a little bit brighter, but also matching in color over here so they would sort of seam up together. And that created something that looked reasonable for the character that was a lot more stable than the flickeriness of the other thing. So that mixed with this rotating still of the background that lines up pretty darned well with the plate, you can kind of see like that, created this fake depth matte. And yeah, if anyone does not know what you can do with these, basically it's a wonderful Luma tool that you can use to selectively place things in the scene that are in front of, behind, different things based on their perceived depth within the shot. So pretty cool. So let me show, so once Seth starts working in here, he could use this depth map, for example, to tell particular that this area is deep in the scene and David's head is forward in the screen. So the particles can be comped among the actual depth of this. Or let me show you a really, a straightforward, silly example. Let's add a text layer and just say depth. I love that my default font in here is Comic Sans.
Straightforward, silly example.
Straightforward. That's Monty Python's whole thing, right? You know, it's just there's. All right, so here we go. We got this word depth here, and
in just the best font and the best color.
Really is. Oh, let me quickly revert to the one of the newer versions of this project before I demo this. Can I paste my text layer in here? I can't. Oh, come on. Why don't you paste from where we were before? I don't want to write this again. So I'll write again. No, that's silly. All right, so check out this. So if I have this text layer that's just kind of hanging out here, and down here I have this hidden depth matte. If I want, I can take this layer and I'll say, let's apply a channel set matte effect. And I'll tell the set matte effect to refer to this depth layer. And I'm going to say the effects and masks. And in this case, it's based on the illuminance. So what you see happening here is that parts of these letters have become a little bit transparent and parts are visible. So I'm going to check, in this case, invert matte. And now you'll see a little hint that things near the floor are darker and things that are kind of intersecting with the couch are more transparent. So if I go to my actual depth matte, it's a nice soft grad from, you know, pretty dark to kind of bright. But if I add something to clamp this down, like I'm just going to use a legacy brightness and contrast because it demonstrates it very well. I can crunch this down, turning up the contrast, and make it so just the most foreground bits are sticking through. Or if I key my brightness up, I can kind of suddenly have this area forward. And so since this text layer up here is using this as a set matte, when I see it in my comp, let me turn everything off except for that, I can adjust the brightness and contrast on the depth matte and use it to selectively place bits of a layer behind or in front of a character. So if we had something like smoke emitting from this, I can easily, just with the one layer as reference, have this text layer get composited behind David, which is really cool. And you can even do there's other weird stylized things with this. So I could, if I had this up front and multiplying on top of this footage, look at this. It's like a weird lighting thing where I can. Oops,
that's so cool.
Far
now you're doing like an old, like a flashback, like a memory,
here.
like one of those, like in Loki or something, some kind of memory vision of some kind of sci-fi movie or Minority Report.
Totally. So you can look at this. Like you can reveal from the back to the front, based on the depth. And another really bizarre thing you can do with depth mats is something that I was experimenting with. I don't know if I saved a version of it or not.
Meanwhile, I am painting out this 3. I did try to content aware fill on the first comp, and then I got a snooty remark from Michael in the Slack saying, "Are you not going to use Spot Clone Tracker?" And I'm here to admit that, yeah, you know what? I thought it was maybe a little too big, but no, it's actually perfect. Spot Clone Tracker is working wonders. So I love Spot Clone Tracker. I just didn't. I think of it for zits. I forget that I can use it on numbers too. Back to you, Hash.
Wonderful. Yo, so just a quick, just to mention where the machine learning assisted depth mat came from. It is from the very easy to remember app.runwayml.com. So this is that site that I've referred to several times that effectively has a bunch of video post-processing things that it can do. The one that I find the most useful is either its automatic rotoscoping. Corridor played with it in an episode where they detail out the actual process a little bit more, and likely paid for an account. I'm still using the free low-res version of everything. But it allows you to use this machine learning estimation to create a depth mat for any kind of footage, however it was shot, and also does interesting. Let's see, here's error loading this file. Anyway, you can run different types of models in a very user-friendly way through this interface. And it's a great companion to adding effects that might need lighting integration, like VFX Bang. If you want to add flashes on someone's face or something like that, if you have a depth mat, you can really choose an exact slice of your footage that you want to be being affected by any portion based on the depth, which is really neat. So even if I just taken the original machine learning version of the depth mat and had it overlaid on top of the original footage, let me see. Here we go. So it's very flickery, of course, but if I decided that I wanted to change this, use toner to make it kind of a fiery color or something like this, and then use it as overlay, I think I'd probably want a little bit more contrast in here. Let me see. Let's turn up that contrast. Let's use legacy version. And then I'll turn down the opacity of the layer a little bit. If I play this through, it'll be flickery, but it's interesting that it's respecting everything that it's cut out in here in a way. So you could fake that there's a fire off screen or something like that using these depth mats, or you can get really bizarre effects like that. Look at this. This is weird. Another thing that depth mats are used for is they can be piped in as a displacement map. So if I hide this down here, go to my original footage. Let me copy over the Cineon converter because it looks a little bit silly without it. And Seth, don't mean to talk over what
I'm trying
you're
to figure out the easiest way to paint out
this
thread. And I actually am going to stop doing what I was doing, and I might just...
Somehow I've found that whenever I decide to try to paint out fishing wire or something that I feel like this has got to be basic because they used to do it all the time, it ends up being somehow the most complicated thing ever because I'll film the fishing wire backlit to make sure that it really, shows up on screen.
No, I think
I don't envy your
what I'm going
task
to do is
there.
I'm just going to go frame by frame and erase it and then do content aware fill. Rather than try and keyframe a mask or anything like that, I feel like it's just going to be more fun to just get weird with it, to get meticulous with it.
I love it. So here's this
Hashi,
example.
the chat is asking about the runway ML stuff. Does the footage need a lot of motion in it to get a good depth map? Does it work on a tripod shot
You could
or
even
anything
send it a
better?
still. You can send it a still image, which is what I did last week when I wanted to try to quickly get a, let's see, where was it? My models, my assets, where did I have it? I just had this still frame of this guy with glasses and I wanted a depth matte. And so I just fed it the still image and it gave me this. So I think it's running its algorithm on every frame, basically. And I believe it's trying to do something to enhance the temporal coherence is the terminology they use, I believe, which just means flicker. But I have found that so far, what I'm getting from the free return is a little bit too flickery to use for anything that's more than a few frames without doing a lot of work to try to rebalance everything throughout. But it's great if you just want an environment in a still frame and a depth map for it. It'll do a pretty decent job. And yeah, who knows, if you wanted to pay for a subscription, you can send these off and then they'll come back, presumably computed with more love or care. So, with the really talented bots they have there, as opposed to the grunt work bots.
Seth, the chat is wondering why you're not using the CC
Because
wire
this
removal
wire doesn't stay straight.
effect that's in After Effects. And I'm saying that's what I told them. I said it works great on straight
Yeah, but
lines
no one's
for
hanging
like
off of this.
a wire that someone's hanging off of. But
And
for something that's
I started
all
by
curvy
making
pants
like a
this,
shape
it's
path, like
less
just
useful.
a mask or a path that I could, with a Bezier that I could, keyframe to this wire and then set it set with like a silhouette blend mode or something. But then I just realized it was gonna be easier on my own. For some reason, it's easier for me to go frame by frame and just paint than it is for me to go frame by frame and adjust a keyframe. I don't know why that is.
I have similar things like that where if I'm going to go frame by frame, I
will say,
want
this is I'm looking at this,
very
and this is a
easy,
long plate. I didn't realize
way
it was
to
10
interface with
seconds.
It is a bit of a long plate. I like to shoot long
Well, the
plates
thread actually,
with very visible
what? It
things that
only
need to be
goes
painted out.
3 seconds. So I'm about 30% of the way done.
And also, you might be working in the handle.
I think I
for the
just
shot,
finished the
too.
handle for the
Just
shot.
not that perfect. So the handle for the shot are the extra frames that you give just in case editorial
also
wants
allows
to
for
adjust
motion
the
blur
timing
as well,
of the
because a lot of
cut
times
a
on a
bit.
first frame with
So in
particular
this case,
or something,
I
you
think
won't have motion blur. It allows it to get simulations going in those frames and et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. So that's so Seth is working in the handle
the
right
name of
now.
my biography.
So I'll make the shot longer
Working in
to
the
honor the
handle is gonna
VFX
be the name of
shot
my
is what you
biography.
should always do.
So
Wonderful. So I'm trying to remember what else, what could be fun to show off that is accomplishable. I would be happy to jump in on some. By
the way, the numbers are gone. I finished those shots. Although, if the plates you sent me that were camis, like, does that mean there's a number shot that didn't get sent to me in those places? Okay. Well, they were really easy
it's
to do.
Possible. I am. Yeah. The other thing you would normally have is a post-production supervisor who is aware of who was getting what. And in this case, in this volunteer army scenario, that is probably supposed to be me.
Whoever hired you.
I do not do organize.
Should know better.
Yes. Yeah, I all right. So there is a bit of a joke later where everything is all fun and games with Venom as a roommate until they realize that he is possibly a murderous symbiote. So if I can find it, there's a shot that is it's sort of like waking up hungover and not realizing what Venom has been to all night. And so I have this little shot here of he walks into his destroyed bathroom and is kind of like, oh man, the vibe, for David is supposed to be your messy roommate is destroyed, your space and annoying. But what I would like to add is just a hint as he walks into the bathroom that there is a body shoved into this cabinet somehow. Exactly. So feel free to suggest what you think would be the funniest version of this. I have several ideas. One is that the door is a little bit off its hinge and you can see a tangled body kind of revealed this door off the hinge. The other is the door is closed with just some fingers hanging out or something.
Like a digit or a ligament to insinuate a body. Like you don't really insinuate a body with a tangle of ligaments. You do it the best is always with just one, with a foot or a hand or something hanging out. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah. So what do you think? A foot or a hand? I think
less gruesome and more comical. A hand kind of, to me, insinuates life, but a foot just insinuates random dead body.
You stick that thing in a wood chipper, that's comedy, All right, so I'm going to just try running the camera tracker in here on this and see what
That also makes
happens.
me think of that gag in Mission Impossible 3 where Philip Seymour Hoffman gets hit by the truck and just his shoe remains. I love just the one shoe.
Oof. Nice. You're enjoying your
I wanted
painting?
a Bob Ross episode.
Now, are you painting? I love it. You're painting with a mouse?
Because my iPad is kind of over and done with, and I need a new one.
I mean, I would use a Wacom for this if I had one.
Michael, I don't.
I do. It just makes it just so much easier than trying to draw with a potato.
Look how I'm doing. I don't have a potato. I'm drawing with a.
Hey, my fridge is covered with artwork.
I'm actually drawing with it's a trackpad. I don't know what vegetable you would compare that to.
Amazing. All right, we are solving the camera, says the thing. And I didn't even need to track this whole shot, but I did. We'll see. We could add some other little details to it. Like when you don't have time for production design, people always love when you solve stuff in post later. It's the preferred way to.
It's still worse when you
shoot stuff when you're
because
a pro.
then it's one thing to hate a director. It's another thing to hate yourself, and that self-loathing is just something that nobody.
And you're like, you know that you know better.
And you don't know why you believed in yourself so much. Like my thing on set lately, I had a thing where I don't know if I said this on the show, but I directed a commercial last month where I actually requested tennis balls on a C-stand. Like in the moment, I was like, do we have any extra C-stands with tennis balls? And Chris goes, we'll get them on the truck. We'll get them. And and they went to get them, and there was a pause. Chris Adams is my DP. He goes, guys, I want you to know this is in my years of working with Seth Worley. This is his very first visual effects ask on set ever. I'm always there's something in me that's always, I want to be the guy who's like, nah, we don't need a green screen. Nah, we don't need tracking markers. Nah, like I want to look cool in the fact that I can do the work and like show everybody they don't know what they're talking about. It's way easier than they think it is. It does.
It feels like a flex to say.
It feels like a flex.
You can handle anything. And then suddenly when you're handling
miserable.
everything,
Yeah.
you are,
that was the story of Darker Colors, the short film. Hey. The Fonz. The official mascot. Look at this. Do you want just this? I made your tentacles right here.
Hey, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Just throw a bevel at it. Yeah,
gosh.
bevel alpha. A little bit of
That would be really funny to do a monster.
Roughen the edges.
Oh my gosh! You know where I was going? I was about to say it'd be really funny to do a monster movie with hand drawn monsters, but good God, Worley, have more than one idea.
I see.
Hey, Dark
That's my
Colors
joke.
was
That's my
hand-drawn
joke. Have more than one idea, Worley. But look at this. This is better than all the arguably better than all the visual effects I did on Darker Colors. Is this right here?
No, I hard
with
disagree. Some of those shots in Darker Colors are amazing. I especially loved that one massive shot with
that's
the sky full of
Mr.
sparkle
Hashimoto
dragon.
right there. That's the best shot in the whole thing.
Well, I love that you keep giving me credit, but you also don't ever compare what I turned into you versus what you
Buddy,
put into your short.
It is look.
Uh,
It is way more fun to celebrate the work of other people than it is to celebrate my own.
That's because
That's
you're
the
not
first
a
time
narcissist.
anyone's ever said that to me. That's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me, Michael.
Seth Worley. Your catchphrase is not a narcissist.
Oh man! All right, I'm gonna content aware Phil this
man.
mother bitch. This mother bitch. That's easy. That's better.
That's the name of the script
Yes,
name
it
of
is.
the alien
I almost
queen
left
in,
Surface on, and we would get to see Predator Goldblum happen again. It's turned to object film method. I show that off. That's my like go-to in my VFX class when I'm teaching paint out and stuff. That with the week I do paint outs and stuff. Like I'm talking about content aware film. Like here's why you want to leave it on object mode, and I pull up that Goldblum clip. That in case people aren't familiar, I'll pull it up here because it's worth it. And because when you leave it, I mean, I'm not really good at explaining the scientific process behind the mathematical process going on behind each fill method, but the way I understand it, object mode is for painting out objects, and surface mode is for painting out surfaces. And that if you have it set to surface mode, it will try to keep the texture that it's recreating in flow with the motion happening underneath it. Whereas if you use object mode, it disregards the motion underneath it and simply tries to stitch and paste the texture and paste it into the motion of the background. So here's the original shot from the Lost World Jurassic. Oh, nope. This is not the original shot from the Lost World Jurassic Park. This is in which Mr. Goldblum scares a poor woman whose daughter is being attacked by dinosaurs by yawning in a subway station. When we entered a pandemic last year and we all started getting adjusted to Zoom, I wanted this as my Zoom background, this tropical backdrop. And because basically I wanted to make the two people in my life in the world that would get the reference laugh, which is Hashi and Dan Sturm. That's basically it. And so I brought it into After Effects and I did content aware fill, not knowing I could do it in Photoshop yet at the time. And I left it on surface mode, fill method instead of object. And what I got was this amazing Goldblum Predator moments where the background sticks to him.
It's what's crazy. There are a few. It may just be one, and I feel bad for not knowing the name offhand. Sometimes an effect like this can be called data moshing, and there's an artist who just does all data moshes from one image to the next using frames of it. It's the most trippy looking thing, but they artistically use the motion of other clips to inform the motion of previous pixels as they all sort of overlap. So it'll be like a log, and then suddenly the log stretches out all the way into a cat that is turning around, and then it's a spoon and a teacup. It's very cool.
I just want to
if
do
I can
a whole
find them, I'll
music
try to
video
share them
with this
online.
With Jeff Goldblum and this and this
with Jeff
applied to him.
Yes. Yeah, and there's if you have not seen my VFX side quest
dude,
called the
you
Template
freaking,
of Doom.
like, hack this to your like.
That has, disappointing numbers. Everyone, I want y'all to jump in there and melt faces. It's a free face melting.
Hashi says disappointing numbers. I want to see what disappointing numbers are for a Hashi tutorial. I'm just going to do this live. I'm just curious. I won't say it. I'm just going to.
Not a narcissist.
I am a narcissist. Michael's assessment was his own assessment. Yeah, it's using up all my RAM. That's not worth it. I'll do it some other time. I won't. I'll forget.
One of the things I was doing over here was I'm quickly throwing a garbage mat in front of David, who walks in here. That way his data isn't counted in the camera track as much. I always recommend doing that if you're doing a camera track. You can always start without doing it, and it might work great, but I had a lot of sliding with where the track ended up. So now I think if I camera track this, it'll be a little bit more faithful. Anyway. Let's background track that. So yeah, that the face melting template also tries to break down what content-aware Phil is doing, including an interview with content-aware Phil describing why things happen the way they do.
It's really great.
So
it's
check
really,
that
really
out
great.
At your leisure. Analyzing in background.
Well, we're both analyzing. So what's going on in your life? Oh, you're moving.
Moving. Leaving this place. No, it's how many times
Adult
have you
life
moved in your life?
or
Seth?
like including as a child?
Both are fun because like child informs like at what stages you had to be reinventing yourself, being plopped into new schools and stuff.
Let's see, I moved once before I was old enough to know it. Moved once in kindergarten, from kindergarten to first grade. That was when we moved to like my childhood home, the home that's in Plot Device and that's in a whole bunch of like all my work up until Plot Device and right after. And then moved to college, hang on. So I'm not counting like college because it's like, that's different. So I would say as an adult, we live in one apartment, second apartment, house, other house, LA, depressing period, living back with my parents and my whole family in with my parents, and then to the depressing condo during the pandemic, and then the house we're in now. So that's 9 times as an adult.
Wow. Amazing. That's a lot.
Hashi, the chat has asked if you used the normalized script on this scene.
I will when I get a track that I like. This track is doing interesting things around here, and I don't know if that's because of David arriving or if it's because of the camera tilt. They happen simultaneously, so I feel like I blocked out enough of David's data that I think it's that there's I can't tell if there's any distortion on this clip that is leading to a bad track, in which case I have an additional solve, which would be to look and see if I'm getting distortion curves in this footage. So if I am, what I would do is I would apply...
It's a very wide-angle lens, so I'd be willing to bet that you are.
So let me delete this tracker, and then I'm going to apply VFX Lens Distortion. I don't think that we've had, or Lens Distortion
We haven't.
Matcher. I don't know if we've had an opportunity to use this on this show. So let me show you what it does. One of the reasons why this track is probably having a little bit of an issue is because all of these should be straight lines, but if you look at them, because of the wide angle lens, we've got some slight curvature to things happening, to things that are supposed to be straight up and down. And so because of that curvature, it really confuses spatially what is trying to be solved here. So Lens Distortion Matcher is a really fun tool where you just have this simple visual interface to find some frame where you see something that is supposed to be straight but is actually curving. So for example, the front line of this sink, and I'm just going to draw the shape of where it is supposed to be. And then I'm going to find one more line that should be straight, probably this one.
Matcher, I did one right after it came out involving bunch of jets and dinosaurs that got some of the coolest results. Is in my experience, one of the best
it's really cool
for Lens Distortion Matcher is this big old fisheye like jet GoPro shot.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very visual way to, so you can see it best on this top line here. You just plot out a few points and you can see the kind of curve happening there. And you can see that this one ended up being aligned pretty straight because it's going right out toward the edge of the camera there. So it takes that bit of information. And I can either say just remove the distortion just as an undistort tool, or I can say create an undistortion pre-comp. So I'm going to do that. And it'll look like it did nothing. But what actually happened is I'm now getting this plate where, let me see if I can reveal it more easily. Here we go. Look at this. Here is my undistorted plate where all of these, the angles of this counter are perfect straight lines. And it did that throughout. I may have guessed a little bit wrong here. Looking at that, I think I did. But this is a slightly exaggerated version of what I'm trying to accomplish here. Let me go back a little bit and try picking a different frame to pull my curved lines from. So maybe here I can see a little bit more clearly. Okay, let me try that again real quick. This line is curved and should not be. And down here, this is, whoops. Oh, I meant to escape.
I'm going to have to rebuild this toothbrush. I'm already looking at it. And I might have to rebuild his,
oh yeah?
I might just copy his right shoulder and repeat it on his left shoulder if this doesn't work.
Haha. You're working on a shot that I actually might have
you already did it?
Done some pre-work in. I think I actually did do a little bit of work in there. No,
it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, I didn't get very far
fine.
with it.
It's fine. It's just roto. Amazing.
Have you done anything with
this
shot?
I'm just over here poorly using our tools that are actually really cool. I think I actually grabbed his empty shoulder from another shot.
The spoon and coffee shot. You done that?
Oh.
All right.
No, I have not done anything with that yet. I was thinking that it might be possible to extract those arms and content-aware fill in that space because it's a relatively still shot, and you might be able to key the shape of that dark black of his arms.
You want to
so that's what
extract
I would try
it or
with
like prime at
it? Prime at would be great too. Prime at would be much more visually straightforward.
Are they not going to be completely covered by the tentacles? Are you wanting like a really, really skinny tentacle?
They're pretty skinny.
They're pretty skinny by the end.
And just also for the sake of freeing up the plate for the animator. And so in this case, it would be like a lot of the tentacle development has been done by Darren Frankowitz. If you've seen any of his training material, very clever solutions both to the material rigs you can do and to the a rigging pipeline for tentacles, which are just weird. They're weird things that have they can be spline based, they can have some joints, but also they need some randomness in them to look alive. And so I'm relying on much more intelligent 3D minds than mine to try to solve this. So yeah, if you can get the majority of that color out of there, Seth, the matte choking or the degree of your, you might be able to expand that outward. If that makes sense.
It does. I'm gonna have to roto some foreground stuff, but it does about, yeah, you're right. It does me about 80% of the work.
That's pretty good. So I'm going to see if my undistorted plate, what that looks like over here. All right, so that's trying to keep things better. Let me see if this tracks any better. And in fact, I probably want to put my plate where I have matted out Venom. This is all tremendously exciting to watch. So I'm excited to see what is going to happen over with yours, Seth.
With this? Oh man, who knows?
Yes.
I imagine you're right. It's a good idea here. I'm going to content aware fill, and then I'll go in and if it did a decent job removing them, I'll just roto the foreground elements and bring them back from the original plate.
Yeah, so if you happen to just be joining us, what Seth and I are doing is we are working on shots from a nearly forgotten short that was going to be done by Red Giant just before we merged with Maxon and just before the movie Venom was going to come out. And so we wrote a short that was all about what if instead of an action movie, if it was more like a messy roommate comedy situation where what would it be like having to live with Venom day to day, invading your space and your body. So it turns out that we were slow enough at making this that now Marvel has already integrated this into the sequel to the movie, a great sequence that is remarkably evocative of what we were trying to do. And even some other, there are some commercials, I can't remember, there's one even called like My Roommate Venom commercial that came out yesterday that is imagining somebody who had Tom Hardy, or what is his name, Eddie, and Venom as a roommate.
The character's name is Tom Hardy, actually.
The character's name, I love it. But yeah, there's I can't remember what the campaign is for, but it's some integrated marketing material they shot on the set with
really?
Another.
And is it
yes.
just like this?
It is.
Hashi,
it's so much like this. It's embarrassing.
It is irksome to read the words "Untitled Project" at the top of your window
Oh, really?
while you're working instead of having
Why? That's the safest way
save.
to work. As soon as you title it, then you lament if you lose it. Oh wait, no, it's the opposite. That's with pets. With After Effects projects, name them immediately so they don't get lost.
Also, the
forever.
title adds a significant amount of RAM and information to the project. It just makes the project slightly
Obviously. Dead body thing. I love that I'm promising a dead body and I've done nothing even remotely interesting over here. We've looked at a cabinet on this side of the screen for the last half hour.
I mean, this is what visual effects are.
It is.
Hey, I feel like you did something with this mirror, with this hanger shot already. Did you not?
No, I think I did a little bit of like a fake rotoed clock wipe transition in Premiere. So like he
Oh,
Let me think.
so you haven't painted these
You know what?
guys
No,
out.
I've not painted these guys out.
Is it too much to show the thing that I showed you right before we started the... Yeah, we'll save it. We'll let that be a fun surprise for the final thing. The thing I sent you right before we started the show.
Wait, what did you say? Via what?
Via Slack. It was a thing that I tried for the beginning of this.
Oh my God. Yeah, let's save it.
Let's save it. Okay.
You'll have something.
I
something
feel like
to look forward to.
I feel like the most useful stuff I've done for this short so far, we can't really show on the. Honestly, the most useful work that I do, I don't do on this show. This show is always me like, I can't make a mirror reflection happen. And then I'm like, hey, check out this thing that's really cool that people would like in our private channel, just you and me.
I know. We got to figure out how to invert those worlds somehow without giving away corporate secrets or spoiling
huge corporate secrets.
shorts.
That's actually the story of like my work in general for the past several years has been trying to get larger projects made and therefore doing a lot of work that no one ever sees. And
and you can't tell anybody about it.
Yeah. Even though I really could, because no one bought it. So who knows?
Hey, let's dig into this, Seth. How are you?
VFX and Therapy with Hashi and Seth.
Amazing. How is everybody else's mental health doing? I never check in with you all in the audience. How's everyone?
So how's everyone's mental health?
Respond,
it's such a question to ask.
I'll respond
talk show.
simply in chat form, and we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. All right, I've now run the camera tracker on this shot again. I didn't even roto out David this time. I'm just or garbage mat him out. I'm just using this as it came in. So let's try this. Let's create a solid and a camera there, and let's see if it gets all wonky at the end. It looks like it sticks now. Hey, that's so wonderful. Let me create a little solid up here for the thing. Hey, stuff is actually sticking now. That's great. So now that I have a camera track that actually works, you can see how much distortion is being taken out of the lens to straighten out these angles so the camera tracker in After Effects doesn't have to deal with the curvature. So like, look at all that. So this is Lens Distortion Matcher. It's really fun. So it'll take all of the work that I do in here, and then back here, it's reapplied the distortion, and everything, all of my VFX elements are conscious of, like right here on the bottom where the pixels of that cabinet really get stretched out, so do the pixels from that temporary solid right there. So even though
such a huge difference in selling a visual effects shot, because you don't think this is a distorted shot when you're watching a movie. You just see the scene and your brain automatically corrects that curvature, but the visual effects, if they don't match it, it just doesn't feel right.
It's remarkable how, because I think for Action Movie Kid, I've never on lens distorted something properly. And so if you ever watch elements fly out of the edge of frame, I do the classic, just add like 3 keyframes right at the end there so it like moves fast off the edge of frame, even though it's a 3D thing and should have been for free. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scale up this blue solid. I'm rotating it only using the little gizmos on the side here because I want it to maintain the 3 tracked points that I got there. So it's basically a flat surface. And then I'm going to rename this particular solid wall. Just like that. And then once I do that, I'm going to run, I can't tell if it's on screen or not. I'm going to scrunch my window down a little bit.
Thank you. Now
Here we go. The Normalize Track script. And if we could, Michael, can you find the, it would be wonderful to be able to share the link for this. I have both the tutorial on it on our channel, on using it and running through it, but this is a free script that you can basically dock and put right into After Effects. But what it does is, right now, if I reveal the position and rotation of this wall layer, look at this. Its position is negative 23,617, 16,000, and 54,000 pixels. So that's just stupid. Those are dumb numbers to work with. And so when I rename this wall, I can highlight these guys, and then I can just press this Normalize Track button right here, ba-boom. And suddenly, the position is now 2050 by 1153 by 0. The reason it's that is because that is exactly exactly half of these new comp dimensions. So if I add anything like a new solid and it had, so like a checkerboard on it or whatever, let me make it a really obvious to see kind of thing. Whenever I have a new layer and I say become a 3D layer, immediately it is now centered and appropriately scaled right here. It centers itself right where that cabinet is, right where that stand-in is. And that is the default position for all 3D objects that come into the screen. And it's so nice because if you're using a particle simulation or anything else that requires the After Effects space to be integrated into this, you don't get astronomical numbers like whatever that was. It's just something it was absurd. And Joe from Workbench, who designed this plugin, also was very clever in that he stored the original data down here in this locked layer called the original base. So at any point, this plugin or the script basically can recall where everything was before based on the relative translation, delete it or reapply it, or if you decide to track in new objects, you can add that. He thought this through to an amazing degree, and it's so wonderful. So learn how that works, and really, if you take away nothing else, use that if you're 3D tracking. Excellent. So now I've got this. Now I just got to figure out what body I'm going to jam in there. All right, so now I'm trying to decide, is a hand too gross? I really still like the hand because it's
dude, it's your short.
So
do the
mean.
Hand. 100%. It actually might read better in that bathroom than the foot.
Let's see. So,
I mean, unless it was a bare foot. Like if it was a shoed foot, it wouldn't.
I thought you
read
meant
very
like
well,
a
but
human,
bare
like
foot
an animal bear foot, like a grizzly bear's foot. I was like, did those read better?
Killed a bear and shoved it up there, and not like the San Francisco kind of bear. I mean, like an actual bear,
a real live Yogi Bear.
Amazing. Okay, so we need a dead hand to place in this. So what is the lighting like here? Pretty dark, so we have a lot of wiggle room probably. So yeah, if any of y'all want to post a picture of your dead hand hanging out of a cabinet, I'll track it right into here.
This is your chance to shine. Your hand could be in a Red Giant short very soon. Post them in the chat.
Oh man, for real, actually. First person to post a suitable, just lifeless hand, just doing this. I could absolutely grab it from my camera feed right now and just be done. But do that, and you get to be featured in the short. All right, so we're gonna look for you could take it with your iPhone. It's gonna be pretty small in frame, so the res doesn't matter a whole lot, but we will preview them for lighting purposes. Michael, can you take a look at any hands that people send in, and we'll pick a candidate and credit you as a dead body.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes out for any raised hands.
Yes,
Dead hand.
By submitting the likeness of your hand, you are agreeing in perpetuity to us owning the likeness and other legal things of said
I
image.
love that you
of
could have
your
just
hand.
gone to Unsplash and found a hand, but you 100% are crowdsourcing this hand.
Hey, I yes. Do it. All right. How can we receive these, Michael? Do they need to be saved in the drive so we can web link them?
I mean,
See,
people can't post links in the chat because YouTube doesn't let that happen.
I know what
so
to
you
do.
have to tweet them
You could. Oh yeah, that's it.
at
Do
Red
that.
Giant.
Oh yeah, tweet them at Red Giant.
Michael, if you didn't, it'd be so
Tweet
funny,
them at
Michael, if
Red
you
Giant.
didn't run the Twitter
Yeah,
account.
Red
If
Giant
like
News.
somebody else at the company did, and they just started getting all of these hand tweets.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Add the hashtag VFX and chill.
Or VFX hand chill, whichever
Want
one
a
you
bunch
want.
of dead hands. Oh my god.
No,
See?
just use the regular VFX and chill, even though that's very funny. I'm not searching for VFX hand chill. I'm searching for VFX and chill.
Yes.
Oh,
Send them
that's-
in.
That is very
you're
funny,
being so nice
Seth. I
to
very
me,
much
and I'm
appreciate
never
that
nice
joke,
to
and I
you,
enjoy it.
Michael. At least not on the mic.
Oh my gosh. This is lovely. Okay, so in the meantime, at first I was thinking like the door would be like off of its hinges or something like that, but I kind of like that it is completely closed
Yeah.
and somehow
Oh yeah, just a hand poking out the bottom.
it
Yes,
is
that'd be
closed
amazing.
strong enough. So let me see if let me find a nice little like blood splatter. I'm sure I have one around here somewhere. Just all the fun stuff that you always have around, you know.
I mean, if you don't have one handy, Action VFX, as my shirt attests, has some free blood splatters stuff.
There's that
You
shirt.
actually do.
You see it now.
Let me
Sorry,
open
it was
up
easier. The visuals.
that.
Action VFX by Michael. Oh, wait, look. Michael is now Halloween Michael. Anything that floats around like this is a Halloween version of it. So spooky. Goodbye.
It really is.
Oh, Hashi, did you? Oh, no, you didn't. Never mind. I thought you muted yourself.
Let's see. So what do Oh. I could easily have.
By the way,
Let's
I'm
see,
looking
we
at this
have
and I'm thinking I
three-
should have just painted out the
sort
mug
this
and
out
the
real
whole
quick.
spoon entirely because that data is messing with content-aware fills.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a lot easier to have a
Yeah.
3D spoon versus
Yeah,
trying to make
see,
the tentacle follow
this
the
is
actual
why
spoon's
people.
movement.
This is why
think that's a
VFX
solid-
reconstruct entire scenes.
I put a link to the free blood effects from Action VFX in the chat, by the way.
Excellent. So yeah, go grab those. It's like I want just a nice bit of. I don't want to overdo it.
No, there's just little blood splatter collection. Yeah.
Let's see, I'm downloading one
You know what I
that
think I might
is
do? I might just cut out
overpowered.
the table. I might just camera track this like general like handheld, like the camera movement, and then yes,
General
he
handheld.
is, yes,
that's
general
the bad guy in Sonic the Hedgehog, right?
cut out the table and the mug, and then I'm gonna just get a clean plate of the background and just have the whole thing be like faked at the beginning, and then roto back in my stuff like my mug or the coffee pourer. I don't even need the coffee pourer. I could find a 3D version of that. Now I'm really doing it the way ILM does it.
Yeah, it is funny to decide in real time. You know what? We shot this, but
It's like
you know,
I've talked about this on
screw
the
it.
show
It's
when
gonna
we
be
spent
hard.
all this budget from Spy vs. Guy on an old '64 Buick or whatever it was that's in that least beautiful car, and then Rabinowitz painted it out and replaced it with a model and blew that model up.
classic. There's also there's some advertisement right now that is that opens with a very similar car blowing up. It's like a Twitter grab your attention thing. I've meant to screenshot it for you, but it's the same framing. It's that same car, and it blows up, but except it blows up by there being an explosion under it, so it flips toward camera. And I think actually looks less realistic than the one
Rabinowitz
that you have. Anyway, yeah, here I'm just putting on screen the blood textures from Action VFX, and you can grab that from the link.
Hashi, Ryan in the chat is saying he noticed that these sequences are in 24 frames per second drop frame. Is that standard for a project like this? And what are the pros, cons of VFX in drop frame and non-drop frame?
I don't know.
You start talking to us about drop frames and we don't know.
I truly don't know. I knew that the goal was 24 frames per second in general. And I do not know if there was any advantage for the sake of the camera or anything that it was shot in drop frame. I don't know if I realized it until we were trying to gather stats for the other VFX artists working on it. That I'm like, it's not a clean 24. It's just it's this. So that's what it is. So
yeah, Stu's not here.
Amazing.
Ask when Stu's on.
Yeah. I live inside of After Effects. So imagine that any question you have that takes place outside of After Effects is I don't know why. I don't know what a camera is or what lens are. And all right. I'm going to grab this blood texture. In fact, I'm going to pre-comp and crop it down a bit.
Here's, by the way, fun fact about Spy vs. Guy. These paintings on the front of these car windshields. Well, first off, that's me selling that car to Steve Taylor, the Russian spy. Right here, this right here is this like hand-drawn sail. Like, first off, we added all this stuff to the windshields in post, quite obviously, if you go frame by frame. But this one right here, I've told this in public before, so I don't think I'll get in trouble. I was, during post-production on this short was, by the way, are you teaching something? Did I just interrupt one of you, like you actually doing real work to tell this story?
Nope, I'm not. Not at all.
During post-production of this short, I directed a commercial of Bad Robot that I've talked about on the show before. And I was a baby and very nervous and scared. And so I hid in this one part of the, at Bad Robot, I hid in this one part of the building where JJ never went because I was scared. And JJ came in one day and he starts messing with these sign painter brushes, like basically what you would think J.J. Abrams would come into a room and do, like mess with like a sign painter brushes.
Classic
he was messing
JJ.
with, and he is experimenting with it, and he writes the word "sail" in like the way you would see it on, like a car lot or something, or on a window at an old diner, And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to say a funny joke around JJ and he'll think I'm funny. And so I was talking to someone else it was one of those things where you share a joke that you've said before to this person, but you're saying it to them so that someone else in the room will hear it. And that other person is JJ Abrams. I was talking about how like one of a version of the Star Trek Into Darkness trailer had come out that day. And I was like, hey, we should Josh and I were joking, we should make a red band version of it where it's just Josh screaming the F word over it. And because it was something we've been laughing about earlier, which now in hindsight is not that funny. And I look over and JJ has been inspired by this joke and he has turned the thing over and he has written in cursive, I'll just say the F word, he's written in cursive with the sign painter brush. And he takes it. And then it's lunchtime, so he takes it and he throws it in the trash. And I promptly pull it out of the trash and bring it home and frame it. And I have it in my office. It's reversible, so one side it says sail, one side it says the F word, drawn by J.J. Abrams himself. And right here on the windshield is the word sail, and I believe on one of these other cars is the F word. It goes so fast you can't see. I actually think it's this little blurb right here on the corner of the windshield. That's the F word part of it. Again, you can't see it, but that's art by J.J. Abrams and Spy vs. Guy. And then here's the trunk of the Buick that we spent a lot of money on. It's a very expensive trunk. And then here's the shot. Here's the Buick that Rabinowitz. It looked just like that. Just like it, just real and more expensive. And there's the really awesome explosion he and David Coulter did. That's that. That was your Spy versus Guy Gression, Spy Gression for the day. Look at that blood.
Blood. Yeah, I'm adding some blood down
so
here.
Disturbing.
It is very disturbing. I want it to be subtle enough that is it just right at the beginning of the shot? Because I think with the handle we start kind of right as he steps in and we kind of pan up. So I want it to be a bit Easter eggy that there's the under the cabinet is this.
It's good because it's just coming right out of the shadows. It's like just peeking out of the shadow there.
Just enough. Like it could be a dirty floor.
It is a dirty floor, technically.
Hey, Michael, are we getting any?
Michael
any
might be out at the moment. I believe he had to take the dog out for a second. Oh, he's back.
I have returned. The dog's business has been completed, and we have a hand from Chris Hewer, and we have a couple of hand choices from Jason Murphy.
How many hands does Jason Murphy have?
Downloaded. Well, at least 2.
Yeah.
So how did he hold the camera?
It's a mystery. So I'm gonna make a whole little folder for hand picks here, real quick, and I will send them all to
celebrity hand picks.
you.
This is so fun.
Oh,
I love that.
3.
Just a little bit of this.
A little bit of that.
Amazing. Let me see. I'm also going to
in my life.
You don't always have to unmute.
Never
Michael.
ages.
You can sometimes say those things just to yourself. Just kidding. Never change.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can find some fun. I'm sure I have tons of distressed images and textures, but I'm lazy, so I always go and search
a smart
for new
person would
ones.
keep a database of textures. I am not a smart person.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, what do I want? I just want some kind of let's see if I just look up a crack. I just want I want to liven up that area with just a little bit of something. Yeah, that's pretty good. I just wanted to look a little bit like the door had a bit of trouble closing, but
our Slack just became a hand
forced.
Slack, a hand pick Slack.
Shut.
I love it. They're not just hands; they're limp
my God,
hands. We just have tons of.
That's the. Oh my God. Oh, God! I like. Wow. So okay, I'm gonna pull some of these up. So we have from Chris Hewer a nice
smart doing it right in front of a neutral
dead hand,
background. Thank you.
Very keyable situation. Lovely. And then also look at this. Jason Murphy in situ found the proper like low to the ground sticking out of the cabinet lighting area. Okay. Wow. Gosh. And I really like both.
How much do you like them? Talk about it.
And this one even had a little like armband to Easter egg from your
like 2
shot.
watches.
right. Oh man. All right.
Well, at
Okay.
least you can now both say that you've had a tweet liked by Red Giant. So, you've made it
There
in
we
this
go.
world, Jason and Chris.
You know what? Yeah, I don't know what to do. I think that Jason, I'm going to grab your hand for this.
Take his hand.
And Chris, I'm going to credit you as a stand-in. I like the hand that is facing palm forward because it's the worst situation I can imagine the body had to end up in for it to be hanging out of the cabinet.
What are we
palm
looking at on your
forward.
screen, though, Hush?
Let's see. Oh, we're still looking at
There we go.
an unfinished search. Yeah, so we're going to use.
It's dangerous to search for
That
crack
was-
on
well,
the internet. on
that's not the
images.
first time Hashi has accidentally.
I'm notorious for just trying things.
in search engines.
Let's see. So let me go ahead and yes. Love. Let's see. Why?
The chat says they like the idea of a hand with a wedding
Oh.
ring. It gives some more backstory. It's writing outside of the scene.
You guys had to go
Oh.
make it dark, didn't you?
Well, it reminds me of a very famous internet image, also involving a crack and a wedding ring from the early days of the internet that I'm not going to say on air, but those who know. And famously, a hand. All you can see is a hand and a couple of hands and something else, and one of the hands has a wedding ring. When you notice that it has a wedding ring, it makes the whole image just that much more questionable.
I don't. I am unaware too, so
I'm
I'm
unaware.
thinking of really uncomfortable things.
So we're gonna have to hop on after this. So yeah.
Oh, it's worse than you're thinking.
Oh, good.
It's worse than you're thinking.
So here I'm gonna open up some Photoshop where I was just working
wait,
on
no,
our
no, Hashi.
thumbnail.
Why would you open that
A lot of
thumbnail
love and
in
care.
Photoshop? Because it's just like that's just a photograph you and I took, like of ourselves in front of a city one day. Yeah,
It's practical.
very realistic and practical. It's an inside joke. Someone commented earlier, and we read it.
All right. Let's see how clever the Photoshop select subject is.
Look at that.
Hey, look at that.
Oh, you know what I love? You should try it with the arm too. Content aware scale. Have you played with it?
Oh my gosh, it is delightful.
Do it to the arm.
especially
Do it to the
force
hand.
to do what? All right. Let's do that. Finish this painting a little selection here. This is going to be scaled down so much we're barely gonna.
I've gotten to where I do this
You know,
work you're
this
doing right there. I do in
lovely detail.
select mask or whatever. Right clicking. That's my
Mhm.
my.
All right, so let's see what happens to.
I think this would actually work. This shot might work if you just hit the select
He did.
subject button and Photoshop
He did.
automatically picks the subject.
I did.
like,
It did
it's so
good.
much better.
Look at that. Boom. But now we're going to try using content aware
Two
scale
things I want to
to
see: is stretching the arm, but also widening the hand to see if it adds fingers.
Ooh, I like that. Wait, what do you do? I thought it was under transform.
I don't remember where it is.
I thought you would say edit and then transform content aware scale, but why don't I see? Oh, is it not selected? It wasn't selected. Content aware scale. All right. So this is a great tool for like if this is a portrait photo, but you wanted it to be a square photo, but you didn't want to lose any content. You could try.
Whoa,
doing
it's adjusting
something
the
like
background too.
scaling this down.
Oh my gosh.
So look at that. So what it's done is it's tried to maintain that the hand was there, but it sort of compressed parts of the background, but left the hand intact. But as you start to get to these like a little bit beyond what should happen, you start to get very
very uncomfortable situations for the hand. Like,
So I didn't
look at
realize
this.
I didn't do it to an entire
Oh, that's
image
so
before.
gross.
I did it. Oh my
Oh,
gosh!
I'm
I
so
cut
sorry,
out
Jason.
the hand. Like I cut out the object and then scaled that object. So I'd be curious to know if you just scaled just the hand, what it would do.
Ah. Oh yeah. So if we were doing that, let's see. So let's transform this. Oops, I got to select the layer. Once again, I'm outside of After Effects, so things are going wonky. Content aware scale. So if I... Wow.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird. What did that just make?
Wow.
Well, it's
It
like
made like a
it's a
foot
foot hand,
hand.
but it's also like a weird little creature with a satchel on.
Yeah, it's like it's got a little bandolier and it's headed out
Bandolier.
into... Anyway.
Easily entertained.
And did you just
You know
say
what?
handolier?
Pretend I did,
What
because
is-
that's pretty damn good.
Oh, man. Well, Jason Murphy, thank you so much for
Lending
us a... I'm not going to say it. But folks, I really enjoy you sticking with us through what is arguably very boring work. But
you finish
coming along to
anything on
hear
your
the
end?
story of us attempting to do it. No, of course not. I threw some Action VFX is the only one who accomplished anything during the course of
I
this,
finished-
which was the
I finished 5
somewhere
shots,
on
dude.
one of these windows. This is how Seth and I work together. I overpromise and underdeliver while
Nope,
Seth
I
finishes
fiddle
everything,
I fiddle and take the
in the
long way
background.
around with things. It's 2:00. Thank you so much for VFXing and chilling with us this week. If you have suggestions for things that you would like us to try on the show, please tweet at us at Red Giant News with the hashtag VFX and chill. And
Absolutely. Yeah, while you're here on YouTube, look up
Yes.
the Maxon training team. They have a lot of really wonderful videos that are competent people using Cinema 4D and doing wonderful stuff with just a slew of content. It's
Absolutely.
it's
And
unstoppable.
speaking of unstoppable,
And someone was asking about color grading tutorials. Recently
Oh, my
on the
gosh.
Maxon training team, put on a couple of different webinars, including hands-on,
Hands-on?
getting started with color grading, which is great if you've not really professionally learned how to do it before, and then a more in-depth series. Both came out fairly recently, and I believe replays of both of those are on the Maxon training team YouTube channel, whose link
Boom.
is in the chat.
and we just glazed over you saying hands-on tutorial for this episode. Listen, this was such a great time, you guys, and please come back next week. We're going to have our friend, I believe next week, our friend Zach Dixon from Ivy Studios is going to be hanging out with us and talking about, who knows, maybe he'll open up Unity, maybe he won't. He does a lot of cool things. And you know where to find us. I'm Awakeland3D at Twitter. Hashi is the Action Movie Kid or Action Movie Kids or one variation of that. Or Action Movie Dad. I don't even know anymore, man. What are you?
I don't know.
I should make
Action Movie
a
Kid
title
on
screen.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Find me, bug me, ask questions. I'll respond.
Well,
I got nothing to
and
do.
Michael,